commercial insurance. Business owners meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Hello and welcome to the program, UFO Morning. In this episode, we're talking about Trump says drones were authorized by FAA. That's correct. Trump says drones were authorized by FAA. Now, you have to decide for yourself if you're following the truth about this or if this is just another twist and turn in a parallel narrative. This first article comes to us from app.com. The title says, Drones over New Jersey. Why didn't the FAA admit they authorized flights? Here's what we know. It's a good question. Why didn't they just begin with? The article written by Lisa Robin Cruz of Asbury Park Press, dated January 20, 2005. She begins the article by saying a week after taking office, President Trump thousands of drones that were sent over the skies of New Jersey were not foreign adversaries, but were instead authorized by the FAA. The statement raised numerous questions about why the FAA did not tell the FBI and law enforcement officers that the flights had been authorized by them, or why the FAA did not acknowledge that they had authorized the drone flights. Here's what we know. What did President Trump say about the drones? Since his election, Trump had promised that he would get to the bottom of the drone mystery that gripped New Jersey since November, noting that drones had been spotted over his golf course in Bedminster. Here's what he said in the statement he found after research and study. Quote, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by FAA for research and various other reasons. This was not the enemy. Trump said in a statement read by Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at the first press briefing of the new administration, there was no further explanation as to what research and various other reasons the FAA had authorized. Sounds pretty vague to me and doesn't really sound like much of an answer. In the statement, Leavitt said many of the drones spotted over New Jersey were also flown by hobbyists for recreational purposes. In time it got worse because of curiosity, what he said, of all the drone sightings. So what, more people became curious and began flying their drones in organized patterns? I don't know. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Then it says, why didn't the FAA tell law enforcement or state officials it was them? The FAA did not directly answer that question or say why the FAA did not admit that the drones had been authorized by that agency. When asked why the FAA never revealed it authorized the drones to fly over for research purposes, FAA spokesman Christopher Meluli on Tuesday referred the matter to the White House for its official statement. See the circle there? You asked the White House one thing, they give you an incomplete answer, you go back to the source, they don't answer the question, they send you back to the guy that sent them. I think we know what's going on here. He added for background that the FAA's role is to ensure drones operate safely within the broader national airspace system and said it is legal to operate drones under 400 feet while complying with all rules, including avoiding restricted airspace and aircraft. So what's happening here is Mr. Meluli he's engaging in directed speech. He's not answering the question. He's just basically telling the reporters to go talk to the hand, and then he's giving you this little canned response about how it's their responsibility to make sure everybody's operating in a safe, legal manner. Well, if that's the case, then why are they being allowed to fly over these armories, like up there at Picatinny, wherever it is, where they're making small arms fire? Was it like 6,000-7,000 an acre army base? Why are they allowed to fly over nuclear reactors? Why are they allowed to fly over people's houses within 20 or 30 feet? I don't get why are they allowed to fly near these flights. So we have avoidance of the question, and then we have directed speech toward the people asking the question, like he's the teacher and they are the students. So you set their sheep, you shut your mouth, and you listen, you take direction. don't ask questions. This is the way these bureaucrats want to treat us all day long. It goes on here, it says, how is this different from what the Biden administration said? The FAA never admitted during the uproar about drones last year that they had authorized the flights. So you have to ask yourself, is this new development just the new administration polishing up the parallel narrative, or are these guys so incompetent they weren't able to communicate with the people that were supposed to be overseeing them? In December, says White House Communications Advisor John Kirby said many drones were actually lawfully operated manned aircraft that pose no national security public threat. Well, what are you basing that statement on? To me, that's just an opinion. A generalization is not helpful. So, I mean, I realize that as Homeland Security Secretary, that he wasn't able to keep millions upon millions of illegal aliens coming into our country. He apparently was also incompetent when it came to keeping us from being invaded by drones, or even double checking with the FAA to see if the drones were there legally in the first place. This gives me no confidence in our government. It says, why the discrepancy? There has been no official explanation as to why the FAA failed to tell New Jersey law enforcement officials, as well as the public, that they had authorized all administration drone flights before the White House statement Tuesday. So what's the FAA is just doing stuff on their own and not communicating that to the people who are supposed to be in charge of them? There was also no explanation why, if the FAA had authorized the flights, the agency then placed temporary flight restrictions over parts of New Jersey for spatial security reasons. The restrictions prevented any unmanned aircraft from operating below, and it has blank space, it says feet, and a nautical mile of airspace. Yeah, you have to wonder, I mean, what are they doing? What does law enforcement say? Well, it says when the swarms of drones were first reported over New Jersey in November, state police as well as local law enforcement scrambled to track and monitor the drones and often questioned why they were unable to find where the drones were launching from or where they landed. The FBI launched an investigation, or someone said cover-up, into the drone sightings after the New Jersey State Police reported seeing a large drone in the sky. So the New Jersey State Police want to know what's going on, but the FAA can't tell them. And the FBI doesn't seem to know either. In a joint statement on December 3rd, the FBI, Newark, New Jersey State Police, and New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness asked the public to report any information into the recent sightings of possums flying in several areas along the Raritan River. Information on the site given the okay to be there. After Trump's Tuesday, Monmouth County Sheriff John Golden expressed, quote, extreme disappointment with the Federal Aviation Administration, unquote, in a post on Facebook, noting that the drone activity, quote, caused widespread panic and fear among residents, unquote. Not that the FAA would care about any of that, apparently. This unexplained drone activity led to significant public concern, with residents, members of law enforcement, state, federal, and local authorities scrambling for answers, told it, Republican said of the Post. The FAA's lack of transparency regarding the nature of the operation heightened alarm and created unnecessary anxiety in the community. It led to a waste of taxpayer resources to track and chase down suspicious reports. Ocean County Sheriff Michael Stradinati, whose office went out nightly searching for drones at the height of the reports, said, quote, I'm very pleased to find out that it was government that was involved. Well, I'm not so sure, because if it was government that was involved, it was the government that was keeping us in the dark. Stradinati had not ruled out foreign intrusions early in his hunt for the drones, which their headlines just tell us what you're doing and I'm good. What was the reaction of the state and local officials? Governor Phil Murphy posted on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Glad to see the White House confirm there was no known threat to the public. Grateful for our partnership with law enforcement on this matter. Yeah, too little, too late. Public officials said they were angered that the Biden administration did not admit FAA involvement earlier. The real question here is not whether or not Biden admitted anything. Obviously he didn't. The question here is FAA actually responsible for not sharing this information, or are they just now currently being used as a fall guy in this thing? That's the real question. It's observed that the Biden administration flat out lied to the American people for months about this, said Assemblyman Paul Cantra, Republican Ocean. They continually tried to tell everyone they were seeing things and nothing was going on when they knew what it was all along. It certainly begs the question, why? Well, maybe they knew what was going on. Maybe this was just a parallel narrative being created on the fly. State Senator John Ramnick, Republican Somerset, added, there is no reason for the federal government to withhold this information from the public. Well, it certainly is if these are actual UFOs, and they don't want us to know about it. The lack of communication from the Biden administration led to very real concern from New Jersey residents. Government transparency is paramount, and I appreciate the Trump administration from the White House, but he did not have a date that would occur. Wouldn't hold my breath about that. Sheriff Golden called on Congress to implement reforms to ensure transparency and collaboration with state and local authorities in future operations. You can't even hardly get an answer out of the FAA when pilots are seeing these UFOs up close mid-air and they are presenting a real threat to the safety of travelers. I mean, so come on, I wouldn't count on it. Quote, residents of New Jersey were subjected to weeks of fear and uncertainty with no clear communication on or explanation at the time. Golden said, for the FAA to now claim this was for research, quote unquote, shows a complete disregard for the trust and safety of our communities. Yeah, well, you're absolutely correct there. Very well written article. I mean, I think it really just brings everything out here, what's going on. I want to play this quick excerpt from the new press secretary talking about these so-called drones, which a lot of us believe that many of these things are actually UFOs.
Suncorp is giving every home in Australia a voice, and he's just one of them.
It's me, the little townhouse down the road. You know, the one with the heavy door. Sorry to interrupt your Spotify session, but now I have a voice. I have to tell you about Suncorp's latest release that every Aussie's got to listen to. Suncorp Haven. It lets you hear from your home, finds weather risks, and some things you can do to help make it stronger.
So Suncorp, what's up with them to listen to your home now? Indulge in the rich flavor of an intense, unique blend. Also available in K-Cup pots. Pleasure makes us human. Lavazza.
That is good.
And before I turn to questions, I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office. From President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the end. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news.
So there you have it. The very first press conference of the administration starts off addressing the drone situation in New Jersey. And I have to tell you, I'm not impressed. To me, it's just like one of these things that they're trying to calm people down, lay their fears and along here. Who knows what's going on? There's another excerpt here I'm going to play. This is from News Nation talking about what's happening here. And this is from the New Jersey Assembly, Brian Bergen. His comments on this drone situation.
Bergen serves as the Republican whip in the New Jersey Assembly and previously was an Apache helicopter pilot in the U.S. Army. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks so much for your service. All right, I want to cut right to the chase. You believe what the current administration is saying, or are they not telling us the full truth about what's going on here?
You know, I think somebody put in ChatGPT, what is the answer we can give that's not a real answer, but shut some people up? And that's what it spit out. I mean, look, if you watch the entire press conference, everything was very Trump-esque, and except for that ridiculous little briefing that they gave at the beginning. It was scripted. It was a bunch of words that didn't say anything. I don't really understand the point.
To me, I understand the point. It's almost like Trump was just handed a statement by the deep state and said, listen, this is what you have to say. And notice they got this first little, what I think is a lie, out of the way. And then it was just like, okay, well now we can talk about stuff that really matters. It's almost like the president of the United States is corralled into, you can see this, you can see that, but you can't talk about that. And the big thing here is the UFO stuff, the alien stuff. And they just got out there, like you said, this scripted answer sounded like something came out of it came out of a chat GPT prompt. Then it's just there to placate the masses, the normies, give local law enforcement something to fall back on, and then we can just move along. Go ahead and we'll finish up listening to this.
It didn't answer anything. And by the way, for the record, every aircraft in the sky is authorized to be there by the FAA. So that's not news to us.
I still don't know why the FBI and local law enforcement weren't in the loop. Oh, it's, FAA authorized. There was research drones, which, by the way, begs the question, what are they exactly researching, and how come law enforcement didn't know what it was?
Last I checked, FAA wasn't running around doing a whole bunch of research like that. They're a very conservative agency designed to police our skies. There's no chance this was them doing that. I don't...
Now, the thing here is, I'm not sure if Trump is saying that it was research drones put up by FAA or if it was research drones that were authorized by FAA. And in that case, it could be some kind of military thing or something. So I'll give them a little bit of wiggle room on that, but still, it should have been communication with law enforcement if that was the case. And there still are a lot of questions about how these things are acting. They don't appear like anything on this planet.
And why that would even be what is being articulated right now.
So what do you think it is? What do you think it is? What do you think they're not being transparent about?
I don't know. The one thing that I can tell you by now is we know that it was something within the U.S. government. FAA research, I really highly doubt it. I think it was some other... I mean, why would the FAA, TFRs, temporary flight restrictions, all over New Jersey in response to the drone issue, when there was no drone issue and it was of their own making? There was a lot of chaos in New Jersey over this. This response, honestly, is not good enough for anybody, including me.
A war-based response to this offers cover and that puts the blame on the past administration, which is like this. But it doesn't take us to the stuff. I think we're really transparent. missing persons. And he said, look, if you go out hiking, stay on the trail. And I'm like, okay, is that because of the wild animal?
I don't like how my car sounds right now. Get it checked. Oh, such a tight squeeze. Don't like how my car's sounding. I think Ella said it was the coil, like a belt. I need to get my car in. sounds.
That's correct.
You should. I don't know if I dare to keep driving. Sounds awful. Let's see if I make it. Sounds horrible. Come on, I don't want to light. I feel like I'm gonna stay in the middle of the road stranded. Come listen to my car. I don't know if I dare to keep driving. I should just went straight home.